Professional athletes with lawyers, agents, and entire legal teams are about to walk into 2026 World Cup bonus negotiations and collectively leave $500 million on the table, using the exact same broken script that keeps your salary flat year after year. This isn't a sports story. It's a story about power, information, and a psychological trap that almost every human being falls into the moment money is on the table. Here's how it starts. FIFA announced the 2026 prize pool will hit at least $1 billion. That sounds enormous. But the federations, the middlemen between FIFA and the actual players, are already setting the frame before a single negotiation begins. That frame has a name. Economists call it anchoring. And it is probably the single most expensive cognitive bias you will ever encounter in your working life. Anchoring is simple. Whoever says a number first wins. Because every number that comes after gets measured against the first number, not against reality. The first number becomes the invisible ceiling. In World Cup negotiations, federations typically open by citing historical bonus figures, past distributions, and what similar tournaments paid out. That framing sounds reasonable. It is not. It is a trap, and most players walk straight into it. But that's not even the strangest part. The players who fight back, who counter-negotiate, often still lose because they're anchoring off the federation's anchor. They're negotiating inside a box that was built specifically to contain them. Now replace federation with your employer and replace player with you. Your boss comes in with a number. You feel grateful, maybe slightly disappointed, and you counter with something just a little higher. That's not negotiation. That's capitulation with extra steps. Here's what you almost never know walking into that room. Your employer already knows what the market pays. They have salary band data, compensation surveys, and internal equity reports. You have a gut feeling and whatever Glassdoor showed you at midnight. That gap between what they know and what you know is called information asymmetry. And it is the real reason you're losing money. Not your confidence level, not your negotiating style, not your personality. The fix is not to be more assertive. The fix is to close the information gap before you ever sit down. National salary surveys, industry compensation reports, recruiter conversations, competing offers. You are building leverage before the room exists. And timing. Nobody talks about timing. World Cup players negotiate bonuses after squads are announced, when federation leverage is highest and player leverage is lowest. They've already committed. The contract is effectively signed in their minds before the ink touches paper. The same thing happens to you. You negotiate salary after you've already accepted the job emotionally, after the handshake, after you've told your friends, after you've mentally moved your commute. Your leverage has already expired. Maximum leverage exists in one specific window, after they want you, before you need them. That window is narrow. It usually opens when they say, "We'd like to move forward," and closes the moment you say, "I'm very excited about this opportunity." So what do elite negotiators actually do? They set the anchor first. They come in with a specific, well-researched, slightly high number, not a range. A range tells them where your floor is. A number tells them where yours is. They also use silence. After naming a number, they stop talking. The next person to speak has already blinked. Most people fill that silence immediately with justifications that accidentally undermine their own position. Some national teams figured this out. The U.S. women's team famously negotiated collectively, pooling information and presenting a unified front. They flipped the asymmetry. The result was a landmark equal pay settlement worth millions. They didn't get lucky. They changed the structure of the negotiation. You could do the same thing in microcosm. Talk to colleagues about compensation. It is legally protected in most countries, even if companies prefer you don't. Collective information is leverage. Isolated ignorance is the product they're selling you. The 2026 World Cup will generate billions. A portion of it will flow to the right people. A much larger portion will stay exactly where the anchors were set to keep it. The only question is which side of that line you want to be on. If this changed how you think about money and power, subscribe, because this channel exists to give you the financial edge that most people spend their whole careers never finding. And tell me, what's the number one mistake you've made in a salary negotiation? Drop it below.